And we're back. Welcome to the next episode of the Mental for Moto podcast. Our guest in this episode is Travis Coward, founder and owner of Death Grip Gloves. If you're a bit of a gear nerd like me, I think you'll definitely like this episode, as we take a deep dive into the world of motocross gloves and how Trav came up with the idea for the Death Grip Reapers. We also chat about the upcoming AMA Supercross season, make some predictions and do some bench racing. I've raced motocross with Trav, and we always share a bit of banter on the start gate. I'm happy to say the same banter has made its way into this episode. I hope you enjoy listening to it as much as we did recording it. So, without further ado, I bring to you our very first guest on the Mental for Moto podcast, Travis Coward. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. You're listening to the Mental for Moto podcast. This episode of the Mental for Moto podcast is brought to you by Death Grip Gloves. Perfect for moto and mountain biking, Death Grip Gloves are all about maximising performance, comfort and rider feel. Featuring super cool styling, a plush leather palm, four-way stretch gussets for maximum flexibility, and silicone printed palms and fingertips for optimum grip and control, Death Grip Gloves represents premium quality at an unbelievable price. Head over to www.deathgrip.store and order yourself a pair of these bad boys today. Welcome to the studio, mate. It's great to have you here. Still got a bit to do, some memorabilia to hang on the wall, but what do you think so far?
Mate, I'm loving it, and congratulations on your podcast, getting it finally up and going. I know there's been a lot of work last year getting it up and running behind the scenes, so good on you, mate. It's great to be here.
Thank you. You're first sponsor, first guest. You're
Lucky me.
Now you just got to come first on the bike.
Yeah, well, we'll work on that.
Before we talk about your role in the industry, I'd like to give listeners a bit of a chance to get to know you a bit better. You're a vet rider, a vet racer, but how'd you first get into moto?
Another early 90s motocross story. Here we go. Probably had to be about 93. Just kind of got into it. One of my mates dragged me along to the Supercross Masters at the old tennis centre. And I still remember it clear as day, walking in and smelling the two-stroke fuel.
How good was it?
It was great. And then, it's everything went from there, really. Got into it, started attending some local races, built my first dirt bike. It was a 1981 YZ80J from coming a bunch of boxes and parts, and built that together. And, that's how it all started.
Did your old man help you with that?
Yeah, he did. We actually built it inside the house, which was nice.
Yeah. So who'd you see at the Supercross Masters? Do you remember who sort of the main riders were?
There was the Aussie riders, Lee Hogan, Cam Taylor, Mike Jones, Mad Mike Jones, Phil Lawrence, Danny Ham, of course. Yeah.
Did you get Jim Holly as well?
No.
The crazy man.
Didn't get Holly then.
How many kids do you think will have that sort of experience after WSX here in Australia now? New bikes under the tree and new role models. And
I hope it turns that way. I hope it's relived again. Those exciting times. Definitely to live through it. So, yeah, I wonder how all this Supercross is going to play into all these future roles of future motocross stars and riders.
I think it's got a bright future ahead, that's for sure. So as a frequent rider, you're obviously a little bit more mature in age, though not necessarily in behaviour or attitude.
Definitely not.
Now, what keeps you coming back week after week?
I just love the scene, mate. It's good to get out on the bike as much as possible. Good stress release. And it's most of the time, no matter where you go, you'll run into someone and have a good old chat, and it's just good. Love it.
Well, moto obviously gives us vet riders a reason to stay fit. Do you think motocross has helped your mental health over the years too?
Oh, definitely. Even because I just got back into motocross probably 4 or 5 years ago, and even before that, I've just felt a bit lost, not having an outlet, a way to express yourself, or
just let your hair down.
Turn
the mind off for a couple of hours.
It's it. So, yeah, absolutely.
No, and I think when you chat to a lot of the riders at the track, I think everyone's sort of in the same boat too. Like everyone's got a reason to be there, their own personal reason.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think, everyone can sort of relate to that as well. What about the negatives? Have you had any injuries or lowlights during your time riding and racing?
Yeah, I've had a few offs. I don't think any crash is a good one, but that's definitely a downside of the sport. It comes with its risks and some painful times. I don't know what hurt worse, the actual injury or being off the bike for that many weeks at a time.
Yeah, it does your head in a little bit.
I think it was a combination of the two, but yeah.
Yeah, no, my wife definitely, when I've been off the bike for a while, she says she can tell.
Yeah.
Just makes it harder to deal with the stresses of life and work and everything else you got going on.
Absolutely.
So
we're not spring chickens anymore. Those injuries take a little bit longer to heal too.
That's it. As a racer, you've done all right racing the vet class on the local scene. You've won a club championship. You've got a top 5 overall in the Gippsland Regional Championship a year ago. I know we've spoken about doing some arena cross in the future. Is that something you'd like to get into, or is there any other sort of aspects of the sport you'd like to get into?
Oh, definitely arena cross. I think that's on the bucket list to check off, especially after the supercross. It's kind of like reliving your childhood of those tennis centre moments, walking in, seeing all that. So definitely love to do that.
It's like supercross for old men.
It is. It'd be great.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. I think I have to join you with that. I understand you spent some time in the US a few years ago. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
I originally went there because I finished high school in 1998. 1999, I first went over there for 6 months and was racing motocross. That was my my first introduction to racing motocross, which happened to be in America, so I was pretty fortunate.
Was that why you went over there? Was that the whole purpose?
It was. Funnily enough, internet had just become a big thing, and there's all these chat rooms and stuff, and I joined this motocross chat room, and I was talking to a guy that was a pro racer over in Denver, and we talked for a while, and he was like, oh, you should, come over and race motocross. And I jumped on the opportunity and did it. I mean, thinking back now, like flying halfway across the world to meet someone you've never met to race motorcycles with is a bit of a strange thing, but ended up doing that.
You're lucky it wasn't some 50-year-old sweaty dude in his mum's basement
pretending
to be a rider. Yeah.
I know, right, yeah. I was pretty fortunate. So, yeah, I got to race. It's only for a couple of years I got to race over there, but I got to race around Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, which was really good. It was really good.
Any of the national tracks?
Unfortunately not. I got to practice on the one in Lakewood, Colorado, but it was a lot different than it was. It wasn't a national track back then. It was just a little track on the side of a hill back then.
Yeah. Did you ride at Glen Helen?
No, I got to visit the track.
Yeah.
I got to visit the track, but
is it as gnarly as it looks?
That hill looks massive. That looks so daunting.
When you're standing there?
Yes. So I couldn't imagine.
So steep.
I couldn't imagine riding down it just wide open like they do.
We'll have to go over and race the World Vets in a couple of years. We'll find out for real. Yeah. Did you get to ride or race or see any notable riders over there? Any interesting or funny stories?
Probably the biggest, well, not really rider, but a racer. But in Glamis, California, we went to the sand dunes there, and a few of the Metal Militia boys were there doing their stuff. So that was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, made famous in Krusty Demons 1.
Krusty, yes.
Yeah, that's where Seth Enslow had his big off, wasn't it?
Yes, he landed on Jeremy's practice bike.
Ooh, that was gnarly. Did you get to see any of the AMA Supercross or motocross races while you were over there?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I didn't get a chance to. Wasn't really on the list, or I just didn't get around to it. Even though it was looking back now, I wish I would have, because they had a lot of Supercrosses in Denver and stuff, and the motocross as well. But
bugger, it'd be interesting to see how they sort of compare with the WSX and the OSX Open, and
absolutely,
and just see what sort of the vibes like and compare the two. So how long did you spend in the US all up?
On and off, it was about 15 years total. Seems like a long time when you say it like that, but it went by really quick. So
1.5 centuries apparently.
One and a half centuries to be exact.
Or decades.
That's right. Same thing, isn't it?
Speaking of the US, the AMA Supercross season is about to kick off in the US this weekend. We've got a few Aussies to cheer on. Obviously, the favourite, everyone's favourite, Jet Lawrence. Yeah. There's also privateer veteran Geraint Stapleton.
Banger.
Who I've heard is really going to have a good red-hot crack this year. And finally, Wilson Todd, who's making his US Supercross debut. Firstly, let's talk about Jet Lawrence. Looks like a lot of the top dogs are trying to avoid him. Do you think he's going to have much competition if he keeps it upright?
Well, honestly, who's going to stop him? Like, who's he got to contend with?
Well, he's going to be facing the likes of RJ Hampshire, Austin Faulkner, Cameron McAdoo, Max Voland, Pierce Brown, Max Anstey. He looked good at WSX. He could have a crack. Austin Faulkner's obviously had great speed in the past, but he's coming back from a long string of some pretty serious injuries. Forget the championship. Is there anyone on that list who could even challenge him for individual race wins?
I think it's still early days to say. I mean, you know how hard these guys have been working on the off season. Like, these guys can come out of the woodwork and be potential contenders. It's too early to say, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if Jet bins it in one or two races, which
hopefully he doesn't.
Yeah, but he's still young. You know, he's definitely matured over the last couple of years. You know, he's the favourite, but that can obviously put a lot of pressure on him too. While the West Coast looks a bit light as far as the top tier riders go, there seem to be a lot of riders who normally finish in the 10 to 20 range who are probably looking to take advantage of the lack of usual top 10 riders in the field. That makes it pretty hard to predict how the other Aussies are going to go. Duran's often in the LCQs, but he's had some sneaky good results in the SX last year. He made 4 main events in 2022. He got a season high 12th at Anaheim 3. So same track they're going to be opening up on. Based on that, he might be one to watch. If he qualifies, maybe a 10 to 15 finish. Could he crack into the top 10?
He's definitely got the opportunity with the field. I mean, probably now more so than ever with the competition in the field. He's got a good shot at it.
Yeah, with those sort of normal 10 to 20 guys, it's so hard to see because their performances are a lot more volatile than the top tier riders. So it makes it really, really hard to predict. But it's going to make the Pulpamex fantasy this year pretty interesting. Anyway, I hope Duran rides well. He's always good to watch. He keeps me on the edge of my seat sometimes when he's pushing in the LCQs. He gets a bit loose.
Yes, he does. He's good to watch.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely love watching him. And he's from just up the road. He's probably an hour away. Is his hometown in Clyde. So definitely cheering on hometown hero. And then there's Wilson Todd. Raced some nationals in 2019 in the US, but he hasn't raced Supercross in the US before. Probably shouldn't expect too much straight off the bat, given he's probably needs some time to find his feet. But he's definitely got a lot of potential. He's just come off a 9th at the British round of the WSX and a 6th at the Aussie round of the WSX. Given the lighter field, what do you think his range will be?
I think he's got the potential for a top 10 finish, probably on the mid-end towards the 7th to 10th place, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's... I mean, when you look at the WSX field and even the Aussie Supercross and the other guys that have gone over to the US and done well, it really begs the question, like, is he better than the usual top 10 to 20 US riders? I personally think his potential is in that 5 to 10 range, but I find it hard to believe that he's going to beat guys like your Levi Kitchens and your Pierce Browns, those guys that'll probably be in the 5 to 10 range week in, week out. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes and how he progresses as the season.
Going to be interesting to watch for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got 3 good Aussie riders to cheer on. They've all got their own goals and agendas, I think. Well, there's no Aussies in the 450 class, but what do you think? Who's going to be who's the favourite for the year? And
a lot of big names.
A lot of big names. It's absolutely stacked this year. I think it's even more stacked than last year. I thought last year was probably one of the most stacked seasons that they've had for a long, long time. And
I'm definitely rooting for Ken Roxon.
Kenny.
I think he's got a good shot. The world champion. Kenny's got a good shot, but he's got I think Tomac's going to put him through his paces.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people on the list that are going to put him through his paces, but a happy Kenny, a Kenny that doesn't give a damn, I think, and a Kenny that's got a chip on his shoulder is what we've got. Have you watched any of the footage of him riding the Hep Suzuki?
Just small pieces of him riding.
Clips, yeah. It's an interesting bike. It sounds a lot more grunty than a lot of the other 450s, and it doesn't sound like it revs as high, which it makes it look like he's not riding as fast, but he does look good and through the whoops, which was, I guess, one of his criticisms of the Honda in the last year in particular that he struggled with. He looks very, very good and very stable.
Just don't stall the bike.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the main topic on the gram, on the comments, and on Facebook.
The lovely start button.
Yeah, but look, how many times has the starter or the Kickstarter really been a major factor in the outcome of a race. Certainly not a win. It might have been the difference between someone coming sort of 3rd to 5th or 5th to 7th, but certainly not in since electric starters came along as it really played that big a factor. And look, when was the last time you saw Kenny stall the bike?
That's very true.
Yeah, I think Eli Tomac's going to be strong. He's coming off like almost a perfect season last year. So, and again, I think he's got nothing left to prove. Got no pressure. I know he hasn't really gelled so well with the 2023 YZ450, and they're starting to put some parts on it from last year's model to try keep him happy. So that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But he is super fast. My money and someone I'd love to see get up there is El Hombre, Jason Anderson.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's going to be super strong. He finished last year really strong. He won more races, I think, than any other rider. Did he win more than Eli? I think he did in the end. He just had the run-ins with Justin Barsha and Mookie that gave him a couple of races with some results that weren't so great, and that affected his overall point score. So I think.
Are you doing it? Are you going to give a prediction of your top 5?
My top 5. Wow. Well, if Chase Sexton doesn't knock himself out again, he's definitely got to be in the top 5.
Yep.
I think Tomac's a no-brainer. El Hombre, definitely in the top 5. I'd like to see Ken Roxon in the top 5. My heart's saying that. I don't know about my head. He's definitely one of my favourite riders. And as much as I'd love to see him up there on the Suzuki, I just don't know. It's not that he may or may not. I just don't know. And I would love to see Adam Cianciarulo up there. I love watching him ride. I love his personality. I love when he's in the booth. So, and if I have to pick a wild card to knock any of those riders out of the top 5, I think Mookie's going to be up there this year.
He's been riding very well.
He is, and I think he's finally getting the confidence. He's not the youngest rider anymore. He's been around the traps for a long time, and I think it's taking him a very, very long time to get that confidence. But I think he's there now.
He's got the speed for sure.
Yeah, he's realised that he can contend with these guys and battle with them. And I think evident in that is his aggression last year when he was challenged. He pushed back.
Yep.
So what about you?
Top 5. Let's have a look here. Tomac, unstoppable. He's going to be up there. Ferrandis.
You
I
think
can see
Ferrandis?
Ferrandis. Yep. He's been riding good. I can see Ferrandis up there.
I don't know. I think David Villeman, his long-time coach and trainer, has always said that he's not as good at Ferrandis. He's not as good at Supercross as Moto.
We'll see.
Yeah, he's a former 250 champion, so you can't take that away from him. But yeah, anyway.
Already said Kenny. How many are we on now?
That's 3.
That's 3. Oh, jeez. It's not that long. Get that program.
The long pause.
Christian Craig.
Yeah, I think
he's a top 5 contender.
Yeah, I think he's interchangeable. When I said about the wild card, I think he could definitely be up there with Mookie. You could put either of them in that role.
Yep. And I still think Cooper Webb's got a bit left in him.
Yeah. I kind of been a bit remiss to keep him out. I think he's happier now. They've changed the KTM a lot based on the feedback that they received from last year, and I don't know if they've gone all the way for him to still be a challenger for race wins, but he's a 2-time champion. You can never rule him out. All he needs to do, I guess, is be about 20 metres behind Kenny, and he's coming.
That's it.
It's like the red rag to a bull, or the yellow rag to a bull in this case. Yeah, but it's definitely going to be a good season. What do you think of Sexton?
Sexton's riding good.
Yeah, you think he's going to be in the top 5?
If he can stay upright.
Yeah. Silly mistakes. He's got the skills. He's beautiful to watch on a bike. I mean, I think everyone wishes they had his technique.
Absolutely.
I'm certainly glad I don't hit the ground like he does. I wouldn't be getting up like he does either. But he's going to be great. I think he's going to have a lot of confidence coming off the motocross season last year. He really gave Eli Tomac all he could handle. And if I had to pick what I think he's better at, is probably Supercross.
Yep.
So
I mean, even if you take a look at the top 5 guys that we think are contenders, there's not a whole lot that separates them.
Nah, definitely not.
It's so minuscule, the difference time.
Yeah, bit of luck comes into it as well.
Absolutely, but As far as talent, they're all contenders.
Oh, and I mean, it goes back to what I said about Jason Anderson. I think, look, he was arguably, maybe not 100%, but he was arguably the fastest rider last year, and some bad decisions, some silly mistakes, some silly decisions to get tied up with a couple of other riders, I think ruined his chance at a championship.
Yeah.
But I think he won 7 races down the track, which is he was on a roll, a real roll. I think he's going to be up there.
He's definitely going to be up there.
Yeah. What about of the riders we haven't mentioned? Is there anyone on the list that you think might be up there for the sneaky win?
A sneaky win.
Yeah, could Cheers finally get it done in the 450 class on the Suzuki?
Oh, jeez.
No, I think that's going to be a bit of a tall ask.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah. Cheers going to cheers.
Colt Nichols.
Yeah, on the Honda.
What do you think?
Again, 250 champion.
Yep.
Haven't seen him on the bike for a long time. You know, he's coming back from a pretty serious injury with the broken arms, but he's on a factory Honda. He's got nothing to lose. He's got 1 year on the bike, or just Supercross, actually. I don't even think he's signed with them for Moto. Yeah, he's got nothing to lose and really nothing to prove at this stage. You know, if he gets up there, he's going to have to get up there to keep a ride. So whether he looks at it as an opportunity or he succumbs to the pressure, it's going to be interesting to see. But he's got the speed, and the Honda's a damn good bike.
Now here's one for you. What do you think about Bam Bam this year?
Yeah, I can't believe we actually haven't mentioned him in our top 5.
He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, is he going to win another opener? Yeah, he's look, I love watching him ride. I love it when he gets aggressive.
Oh, it's great.
Would I like to be on the receiving end of a bit of Bam Bam? No, but he is an absolute surgeon when it comes to going toe to toe with other riders. I'll never forget that takeout of Marty Davalos a couple of years ago when they were getting at it, and Marty's cut him off, and Bam Bam's just come up the inside of him on the berm and just sliced his front wheel off. Didn't touch the rest of the bike, just knocked his front wheel out and didn't even look back.
He does not mess around one bit.
No, he's I think he's the best at what he does. Yeah, it's he's going to be an interesting one. Could he contend for wins? Definitely. Is he a contender for the championship? Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. I think unless there's some injuries, with a field this stacked, there's probably at least 5 guys I'd put above him in the list. So, be interesting. What do you think?
I'd like to see him do well. Hopefully he has a good couple of races, but to be honest, I don't think he's going to be a top 5 contender.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. What about guys like Justin Hill? Yeah, he's coming back. I think he's on the Tedder bike, Team Tedder bike.
Mm-hmm.
He's by all accounts, he's flying at the test track. You think he could be up there for a sneaky top 5?
Oh, top 5. I think he's got a lot of competition to get that far. Top 10, yes.
Sneaky top 10, I think.
Sneaky top 10.
Yeah. I'd love to, speaking of riders that might get a sneaky top 10, I'd love to see Cade Clayson get up there.
Mm-hmm.
I love when he is a guest on podcasts. I love the way he rides, and he's been getting better and better, and he had a cracker of a season last year, and he was just getting better and better. So I think he could be a contender for a top 10 or several top 10s this year. It's definitely a very, very heavy lineup. I'd love to, as I said, I'd love to see Adam Cianciarulo get up there. Again, he's a bit of an unknown quantity though. By all accounts, he's riding really fast, and a 80% Adam Cianciarulo can probably lead races, but whether he can get it done with his injuries that he's reportedly still carrying to some degree. I mean, they've kept it pretty quiet, so we don't know what he's suffering. Whether he can get it done long term, I guess nobody knows.
Nobody knows except for AC.
I don't even think he knows. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be definitely turning on the big screen and watching it at home when come Sunday and seeing how it all plays out.
It's going to definitely make for some interesting racing.
Yeah, and hopefully the field stays healthy this year, because it'd be good to see these guys battle it long into the year. I know they say it a lot. I really think there's got to be 10 guys that could contend for race wins, which is a good place to be as a fan.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, I guess that wraps up our chat about the AMA Supercross.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the rest is going to, we'll just have to see how it all plays out. Moving on to the main topic of the day, your role in the industry. That's why you're here, apart from being just a all-round good bloke.
Oh.
You're the founder and director of Death Grip Products, which is a bit of a new venture for you, sort of over the last 12 months. As part of that, you designed and brought out a pair of gloves known as the Reapers, specifically for motocross and mountain biking, I believe. How did all that come about?
To be honest, it was just a bit of trial and error, and I wasn't comfortable with the gloves I was wearing and went through several different brands. Too constricting, and I get a lot of hand cramp on the track and stuff, and obviously if you can't hold onto the bike, you've got big dramas. So I think that was where it all started, where it grew from. Just wasn't happy with what was out there and thought I could do something better for a bit more of an affordable cost than some of the big competitors.
So where do you even start with that when you're coming up with a new product? Was it the design, the look, the feel, the material?
I think it starts with the design, something that looks good. You know, you don't want it to look like a $2 cheap glove that, you know, is from a $2 shop, I guess you could say. But it starts with the design. So colours, didn't want anything too flashy. Black and white, pretty simple.
You still have to make a pink pair for me.
Yeah, of course. Pink.
Hot pink.
Bright pink.
Yeah, 90s pink.
But then the design came of the logo and stuff, which is probably the most challenging part. The actual logo itself, I was looking at different logos for quite a while, and my wife ended up helping design the logo for that, which I was pretty happy with and got a lot of positive feedback. And then came the design process, was finding the right materials and just fine tweaking it till it was something I wanted to produce and put my name behind, really.
So where did you get the idea for the materials? Because they're quite a bit different to anything I've actually seen. I've worn a lot of different gloves.
Yep.
So, especially the flexibility.
I was all for comfort for the gloves. That's why I went through like the spandex, the very lightweight feel, flexible. Like you don't even have them on. They don't feel constricting.
Is that your new slogan, like bike pants for your hands?
Bike pants for your hands. It could be. Good catch, catchy. So yeah, just something comfortable, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm super fussy when it comes to gloves. I prefer the more minimalist designs, gloves that affords you the protection that you need, but probably prioritises feel. So it doesn't feel like you're wearing a glove, kind of like a condom, I guess.
Corn rubbers for your hands instead of death grip.
Yeah. Oh,
hand rubbers.
I don't know how well that'd sell, but
nah.
I've worn heaps of different brands: Thor, O'Neill, JT, Shift, Fly, 7, 5, and of course the Death Grip Reapers, which I've worn for about 8 months now. I think I've put about 60 hours on them, and they're still going strong. They sort of the plush leather palms sort of pilled a bit after the first thought.
Do you take them off when you're not riding?
No, actually, I wear them in the shower as well.
That's dedication right there.
That's right. That's another slogan you could use, mate. They feel so good, you want to touch yourself. Yeah, no, but they're still going strong. They look like they did after sort of the 4th or 5th ride. They haven't worn through. The stitching still holds together. So for me, they've definitely ticked the boxes. The previous gloves that I've worn, the 7s were pretty good, but I think the 5s and the Death Grips are really the only gloves I've worn that have ticked all the boxes for me. From a comfort, function and feel point of view, I really can't separate the two, which leaves the main difference being the price point. The 5 gloves are at the very high end of the market price range, whereas you've marketed the Death Grips at almost half the price at about $35 a pair, which I think is pretty appetising and attractive to most riders. That puts you right in that mid-range.
Just wanted to make them affordable for most people,
Yeah.
Paying the
and I mean
$top
for the quality that they are and the wear that you get out of them, like I certainly can't complain.
At that price, they're almost disposable.
That's it. So you wear them when you need latex gloves as well.
Absolutely.
Do it all. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you set out to design and manufacture your own line of gloves, what were you trying to achieve? Like in your opinion, what makes a comfortable and functional glove?
The material, I'd say. A nice, flexible, lightweight material. I mean, they're not so much catered towards the off-road scene without the weight of the protection padding, I should say, but just comfort and functionality. You don't want something that's, the grip slipping in your hand. That's why I've got the silicon printed logos on the palm and the fingers for the levers. Yeah, comfort was a big thing, which I was struggling with, which I'm really happy that I've come out with these.
So one of the things you just sort of triggered something that got me thinking. One of the things that I found with gloves that I really struggled with a lot of the other pairs that I had was slippage between the inside of the glove and my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So, the outside of the glove grips the grip, but then your hand slips inside the glove. And I had some big brand, big name brands that I wore where that was actually happening a lot, and it caused me to pump up really, really quick. So that's one of the things with the death grips being so flexible, it sort of holds onto your hand. It's not a factor, and that's there's only been a couple of gloves that I've worn where that's really been obvious for me. Are there any other sort of features that you're looking to incorporate into future glove designs? You said, these ones weren't sort of marketed at the off-road scene, so maybe something that has protection across the back of the hand for single track or bush riders.
Definitely. Yeah. I've had some feedback from some off-road riders about that exact thing. So I definitely think I'll have to come out with a line that's got a bit more padding, protection for those off-road riders, because the minimalist feel doesn't work too good scrubbing against trees and bushes and all that stuff. So,
and you don't need to look as cool when you're riding in the bush. That's not as important because
not as many people are watching.
That's it, and no one looks cool riding in the bush. So, I'd love to see Death Grip expand into pants and jerseys. I've said that to you before, even casual wear. I love the style, and you've definitely got a good sense when it comes to comfort and functionality. Are you looking to expand into any other types of gear?
Definitely casual clothes, casual gear. I'm looking to do something with that.
Well, you've already got a good line on the spandex, so I think Justin Barsha might be interested in it. He likes tight pants. Yeah. Would you consider yourself to be a bit of a gear nerd?
A gear nerd.
A gear nerd.
What's your definition of a gear nerd?
Just someone that loves looking at different gear and different colour lines and different
definitely.
materials, and obviously something that looks good. You want the lit kit.
Definitely. I guess I would be a gear nerd then. But yeah, it's good checking out all the new gears, different styles, materials.
Yeah, are there any other types of brands or designs that have inspired you, or products that have caught your eye that may have led to your sort of idea for innovation when it came to gloves?
I'd have to say it's a compilation of all brands, like all brands, all styles of gloves, because there's so many different ones. Some people are doing it right, some people aren't doing it right. Some feel comfortable, some feel don't. That's, I guess, in a sense, all of them inspired me to make Death Grip.
Yep. No, that makes sense. That's it's an interesting thing. I think people are super, super fussy about gloves. The people that I've given the Death Grips to try on and stuff, loved them. I had a few though that like a thicker glove, which I can't get my head around. It's like if you need to use half your strength just to close your hand into a fist. For me, I'm going to pump up straight away wearing something like that.
Too much padding in the palm is just instant pump.
I've worn through a pair of grips with mine, and I haven't worn through the gloves, so it's definitely got to be a good sign when it comes to the palm on these things. What's your long-term goal for Death Grip? Do you have a long-term goal?
Been put on the spot here. I haven't really thought about it, to be honest.
Fly by the seat of your pants a bit?
Yes, absolutely. We'll just see what happens. We'll just take it one day at a time.
Yeah. So do you have other models sort of planned for release in the future?
Yes, definitely working, like we just said, some off-road models with some padding and protection on it. I've got a few different colour schemes, a bit more colour involved and stuff like that.
Nice.
Changed the design a little bit on the glove. The current one had some feedback that, it's a little bit short in the wrist area. So we've extended that by a couple of mil. We're just, we're making improvements as we go.
They're good. It's got the nice big wide Velcro strap as well, which again, like you sort of said, there's features of other gloves that annoy you. I've had some, pretty good gloves, and the Velcro closure was really small and kept coming undone when I was sweaty, and it gets a bit of dirt in it, and then it doesn't stay closed anymore. So definitely not a problem with the Death Grips. Well, that just about wraps up this episode. Before we wind up, is there anything else that you'd like to chat about?
Well, first off, I'd just like to say thanks for having us. It's been a pleasure being here.
It's been a pleasure having you.
How about we do a bit of a promo code for the listeners for some Death Grip gloves?
That sounds awesome, mate. I'd be all over that. What do you got?
Feeling a bit adventurous. Let's go with 35% off for the first 10 listeners.
First 10 listeners to buy a pair of Death Grips.
That's it.
And what's the promo code?
The promo code is mental23. So just head to www.deathgrip.store, enter promo code mental23. 23 as the number.
Yep, www.deathgrip.store.
That's the one.
And mental23 is the code. Thanks, mate. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. I might have to log on and get myself a pair. I think that brings them down to about $22 and change, which is, it's a price that you just can't turn down in anyone's language.
Right. Better jump on it.
They're going to go quick at that price. Well, it's been great having you in studio. I'd definitely love to have you on again, maybe as a co-host in a future show.
Would love to.
Yeah, we can bench race some of the US season, and then when the Aussie Moto starts. And we've also got the AMX Open happening at Wonthaggi just up the road here at the end of Jan. So,
awesome.
Maybe we can do a bit of a preview show and a post-race review for that.
I look forward to it.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good. Well, thanks again, and we'll chat again soon.
Thanks.
Well, that concludes this episode of the Mental for Moto podcast. It was great having my first guest, Trav Coward, in studio, and I'm looking forward to doing the next one of these already. I still need to come up with a catchy name for the industry guest shows, so I might have to put up a prize for the person who can come up with the best name. If you haven't already done so, please go back and listen to our previous podcast, WSX Domination, where I explore a few reasons why I think that in a few short years, the WSX may overtake the AMA Supercross as the premier Supercross event on the planet. With these podcasts, we're definitely learning as we go, but I'd love to hear what you think of the shows so far. So if you want to share any thoughts or feedback, have any guest suggestions, or are interested in supporting the show as a sponsor, please reach out via the contact form on our website, mentalformoto.com, or DM me via one of our social profiles. Thanks for listening.